as of now. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to our second session of Think Different. So this is a course that is all about exploring the deeper teachings from Jewish thought, Jewish spiritual thought. And the focus of our group here on Thursday nights is the book of Tanya, which is, in my opinion, the most impactful, the most profound, the most revolutionary book of spiritual wisdom written in the last 3 or 4 centuries. So this is not insignificant. What we're studying tonight is not an insignificant course of study. This is the real deal. Thursday nights, Think Different. This is absolutely the real deal. So before we continue, I want to welcome a few people that just jumped on. Mark, welcome. Julie, welcome. And David, welcome. David, you got the great background from New Jersey Institute of Technology, it looks like. Fantastic. See, listen, we're all around the country. This is like, we got the U.S. covered. Europe is next, but maybe they're sleeping. I'm not sure what the deal is. I guess we got to go the other way. We got to go Hawaii or something, or beyond. Okay, so Tanya is epic. I cannot overstate how epic the book of Tanya is, and I get excited every time I talk about it, every time I study it, and every time I have the opportunity to share its teachings with others. So last week, what I did was I gave a bit of an overview of the first several, I would say, sections of Tanya, and we kind of got up to speed to chapter 41, which is where we launched this series. And there are different sections. It's kind of like when you're climbing a mountain, right? If you're climbing Mount Everest, which I've never done, I'm sure I'm shocking you by revealing that information. But from my understanding is you reach different plateaus, and then from there, it's like a base camp or something, and then you continue on to the next place, to the next place, to the next place. Tanya is very similar. I would say, almost the final ascent. What's special about chapter 41 through 53 is it's chock full of meditation. And when I say meditation, I mean things to think about to develop emotions. The Jewish definition of meditation is thinking about something to the point that you develop a feeling for it. I'll say that one more time. Meditation is defined very simply as thinking until you feel. Thinking about something until you have an emotional response to it. For example, we've all done meditation. Without knowing it, maybe. You were driving. Remember back in the day we used to drive to places and whatever to work? Okay, so you're driving to work and you're in traffic and you have time on your hands. And you're thinking about the time a few weeks ago when that person who you thought was your friend said something not so nice, and now you're getting upset. Remember, they're not in the car with you. They're 2 weeks ago, right? That conversation hasn't happened since 2 weeks ago. But, however, you're now thinking about it in your mind. And as you're thinking, you start thinking, wait a second, that's not the first time they said something not nice. In fact, I'm detecting a pattern as I think about it more. I think it was malicious. It wasn't just innocent and maybe, disrespectful in an innocent way or without, lack of realizing what they were doing. I think it was malicious. I think it's now part of a whole campaign to besmirch my character and tear me down. And in fact, you start gripping the steering wheel, and maybe you're schwitzing a little, maybe you're sweating a little bit, and you're getting upset, and your heart is racing, and that's called meditation. That's not a good meditation, but it's called meditation because you use your mind to produce an emotion in your heart. You use your mind to produce a feeling, to produce an emotion. That's called meditation. So, in these chapters, in these 13 chapters, the Alter Rebbe, the author of Tanya, the founder of Chabad, he goes through methodically, step by step, meditation after meditation, because, and here's the big idea, it's important to have an emotional relationship with God. In other words, our spiritual experience ought to include feelings. And I want to elaborate on that right now. But first, Jonathan, it is great to see you, and I'm loving your background. For those that have it on the Brady Bunch view, right, you could see everybody kind of like in that expanded view. It looks like there's fire burning or something is going on, but either way, That is epic. Loving it. Okay, let's.
My own synagogue in Seattle.
Oh wow, wow, that's amazing. That's great.
And,
And
and I'm the fuzzy part.
I can right. That's you're glowing. That's incredible. Okay,
Yeah, that's my spirit.
I love it. I love it. Well, welcome. Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about emotional relationships for a moment. And I want to distinguish an emotional relationship from a relationship that is devoid of emotion, that is more transactional in nature. So, again, let's talk about the difference between an emotional relationship and what we would call a transactional relationship. A transactional relationship means that I do something for you and you do something for me. Do we get all excited about it? It's a transaction, right? Cool your jets, take it easy, right? No need to get all worked up about this. It's simply a transaction, right? A simple example would be you go to the grocery store and you buy a loaf of bread. So you want the bread, so they have the bread and you have the money. And what you're going to do is you're going to switch. You're going to take their bread and they're going to take your money. Done. Transaction. Do you have to feel love and do you have to feel awe and joy and no, take it easy. No emotions necessary. Just pull out the cash, swipe the card, take the bread, weitergegangen. In Yiddish that means and move on. And make sure you're wearing a mask, right? I mean, that's it. That's all you need to do. It's transactional. Now, what if somebody would tell you, in marriage, this is if somebody would tell you. If somebody would tell you. Now, what if somebody would say in marriage, in marriage, you don't need emotions. Okay? It's a transactional relationship, right? The husband does something for the wife, and the wife does something for the husband, and they're all there for each other. Everyone's doing their role. The husband has his role, the wife has her role. Everyone's doing their thing, right? And they're all benefiting the other. They play their role, they fit their part, and that's it. That's it. It's transactional. So let me ask you a question. And feel free, by the way, this is not only now, this is at any point in time. You can feel free to unmute yourself and weigh in, especially when I ask questions. So tell me, what is lacking in a more intimate relationship being solely transactional? In other words, what is wrong with having a relationship, but a close relationship, right? Not like a shopper, a checkout person relationship. I mean, like a close relationship that is completely transactional. What's lacking? What's the problem? Sorry, that was my cue for you guys to weigh in on it.
Intimacy.
No ongoing connection.
Heart and soul.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm hearing three things. Let's go one at a time. Adina Malka, I think you started. Adina Malka, you said intimacy.
Yeah. And you can't have intimacy without eye contact, and facial expression, and tone of voice, and you have to have an intimate relationship.
Okay, I guess I'll ask the question, why do we need to have an intimate relationship? Maybe a transactional relationship is fine, right? I'm doing something for you, you do something for me, right? We each play our role and that's it. Like what's...
It's not personal.
Huh? It's not personal. Okay, good.
No heart
There's
and soul.
disconnect.
Good. There's disconnect. Good. Good. What else, David?
Yeah, I said there was no ongoing connection. It's very transient.
Oh, good. Excellent. Okay, I want to weave together all these thoughts and kind of put them in different categories. Before, during, and in totality. And you'll see what I mean in a moment by those three labels. Okay. If there is no emotion, in other words, there's no love. No one's feeling anything for the other. It's just a mutual agreement that we're gonna do mutual transactional relationship. Yeah, I'm gonna do for you, you can do for me. Okay. If that's the foundation, if that's the extent of the relationship, what's the problem? The problem is that at some point in time, you might not be motivated to do your transaction, whatever that is, right? In other words, if you're not feeling the love, then you might not step up and do what you need to be doing. So you're going to say, look, I'll do what I need to do. You do what you need to do. I'll do what I need to do. It's not about, we don't have to feel love or feel any other sort of emotion. Let's just, everyone should do what they need to do. That's it. Robotic, just do it. Nike. That's it. No emotions. Emotions, blah, blah, blah. Emotions. Who needs emotions? Need to do. So why should I today extend myself for the other if I don't feel the love or I don't feel the respect? So if I don't feel, so what am I doing? Or why should I do? And if I don't do, right, I don't know that I feel so bad. Now, it might mean that the other is not going to do their side of the transaction, right, so to speak. If there's a transactional relationship and I'm not keeping up my end of the bargain, they may not keep up their end of the bargain, but maybe that's a risk I'm willing to take, right? Maybe that's a thing that I'm willing to take, a risk I'm willing to take. And one day I might not be motivated to do what it is that I ought to do. So that's what I mean by before. Without the emotion, it might end up that we don't do the thing that we're meant to do. With the emotion, we might be a little bit more motivated to do that thing. So if you feel the love for the other, you're more motivated to do something loving today. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Right? So having the emotion helps, right? There's no guarantees, but helps us actually do in practice what it is that needs to be done in a relationship. Does that make sense? So emotions are important because they lead to the proper action. Again, you could argue, I don't need to have emotions. I'll just do what I need to do. It might work, but if you're not that motivated, how long are you going to keep on going? So to help with the motivation and to help make sure that you're going to do it, it's good to develop emotions. So not only am I committing to the other person, right, under the chuppah, that I will do for you and you do for me in this relationship, but there's also, hopefully, emotions. There's also a love and a respect, so that will drive me and motivate me to want to do the things that are to be done in a committed relationship. So emotions are helpful, love, respect are helpful to get us to that place of action and acting on our commitments. That's one point. Second point, that's the before, right? It helps us get to the place where we're doing what we're doing. Let's talk about during. Step number 2. Without emotions, we might end up doing things in a robotic way. So there's a risk that we might not do it, as I just said. So we need emotions to help us to help ensure that we do it. There's another challenge. There's another problem with not having emotion. And that is, if you don't feel, then even as you're doing it, even if you do it, whatever that it is, even when you're doing something for the other, if you don't feel, it's going to be lethargic, robotic, transactional. I know you can go into some supermarkets and the clerks are super happy. Whoa, what do they put into the ventilation system? They are, woo, how you doing? It's great. Oh, it's wonderful. Like Trader Joe's. I love Trader Joe's. Everyone in Trader Joe's is, at least that I've met, is super happy. I don't know what's going on there, but they're way too happy to sell me, I don't know, a bag of lettuce than they ought to be. No, but I'm not criticizing. It's actually an amazing thing. But you know, when it typically in transactional experiences and relationships, it becomes very mechanical. You know, you're doing this, I'm doing that. You give this, I give that. Right? You pick up the kids, I'll do the shopping. Everyone's doing their thing. And the problem is, even when it's happening, it's dead. It's not alive. It's lethargic. It's sluggish. It's empty. It's soulless. Soulish. But soul, right? That's me. Soulless is that experience. When it's completely transactional, there's no soul. You're taking out the soul, the energy from the relationship. That's the second point. Let me recap. The first point is without emotion, you're not guaranteed that you're actually going to stick to your commitments. Because if you're not feeling it, you might just, who needs it? I'm excited about something else. So that's one point. Second point, even if you're going to do it, it's going to be lethargic. It's going to be robotic. It's going to be, well, I have to do it. Or, okay, this is what I'm committed to do. I guess I'll do it. There's no emotion. There's a third thing. And that is, and this was mentioned, this is what I was trying to get at as I was asking Adina Malka to develop her idea. So there is when it comes to relationships, there's something about a relationship that transcends the transaction. One might argue, and I think justifiably so, that, let's say marriage, for example, a close, intimate relationship, it's not about the transaction at all. It's about feeling something for the other. Yes, because we're living together, because there's a family or whatever, etc. So we're going to also do things for each other. But at the core, what binds the human beings together is the love, is the respect. I know it's built on the everyday actions and the commitments. I know that. I get it. I'm right with that point. But what is the core of the relationship? Not how do you build it or how do you express it, but what's the core? The core is the emotional connection. Take away the emotion. If you leave the transaction, not only are things maybe not going to get done, point number one. Not only when they get done will they be lethargic, point two. But what's the relationship? Transaction? It's not a relationship. That's a transaction. You can call it a transactional relationship, which I did before. But one could argue that's not a relationship. That's not a real relationship. A real relationship is when there's emotion. So, to summarize, when a person is in a relationship, it's really important, and a deep relationship, it's really important to feel something in your heart for the other person. Why is it important? I mentioned 3 points. I'm sure there are more, but 3 salient points. Number 1, without the emotion, we might not live up to our commitments. Without the emotion, our commitments will be lethargic. And without emotion, what's the relationship? See, the third one is the biggest. The third one is like the bomb. Without emotions, what do you have? Just transactions? That's not. A relationship in this context. This is what Adina Malka was saying. Intimacy. Where's the intimacy? Without emotion. I don't mean any physical actions. I mean the closeness. Where's the closeness? A transaction is a transaction, right? We can now do social distancing transactions, right, from a very safe distance. Where's the closeness? That comes with the emotional closeness. So, having love and having respect in a relationship is not icing on the cake. These are essential components to a relationship. They drive our commitment actions. They inspire our actions with energy that defines the relationship. Does this make sense? Yes? So far, so good? Okay. At this point in time, I'm going to take a selfie. What do I mean by a selfie? We're all studying together, and it's good to have because we like to inspire others to learn as well. So excuse me for a moment while I pull out my phone and I do a quick Everyone smile, please. Pretend like you're having fun. All right, awesome. Good. We'll do one more just in case. Smile. Okay, awesome. Now, back to our class. The reason why I mention this is because in Tanya, the author talks about our relationship with God in the exact same way. You might have known I was going there, but in case you didn't, now you know. In our relationship with God, a major premise of the book of Tanya is you have to have feelings for God. You have to love God. Yeah, v'yahavta es Hashem Elokecha, love the Lord your God, love God. We'll talk about this. Hold on, right? We don't want to. We're going to go into this slowly. Love God, respect God, be in awe of God, fear God, whatever that means, right? Which we'll explore tonight. So we talk about emotions. You can understand our role vis-a-vis God in different ways. You might say, God created us, put us here, and says, do all these things. Don't do all those things. And then that's what I want you to do. Transactional. God says, I'll give you life, you give me all this stuff. All right, that's one way to look at it, right? God says, I'm going to give you life and health and energy and sunlight and oxygen and all that wonderful stuff, and you give me the 613 mitzvot. Super transactional. Okay. Person can have a Jewish relationship in a completely transactional way. I go to shul on Shabbat when the synagogues are open. I wrap tefillin. I put up a mezuzah on my door. I eat kosher food. I light Shabbat candles. I eat matzah on Passover. Right? I hear the shofar on Rosh Hashanah. All these wonderful things. Yeah, I do stuff for God. God does stuff for me. That's my relationship. Transactional. Okay. Comes along the book of Tanya and says, we can do better. We can do better. Let's get some emotions here. Come on, let's get excited. Why is it important? You know already. 3 points. Number 1, because if you don't feel, then you may not be inspired to do that mitzvah on that day. Right? If it's all about, well, I'll do the mitzvah, but you're not excited, then maybe one day you'll be like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do it. But if you're excited, you're more likely to do it. So developing emotions helps get you to do what you need to do. That's point number 1. Point number 2, even if you do it transactionally, but you do it from a place of, I'll do it. I guess this is what I'm doing now. I guess this is what we're doing. I guess we're listening to a sound from a ram's horn. All right. I guess that's the call of the hour. It's lethargic. It's lethargic. It's not as exciting as it could be. And it's not as exciting as it ought to be. We ought to be excited. It's like, wow, the shofar. Are you kidding me? This is fantastic. Shofar so good. Sorry about that. It was right there. Right? We should be excited. When I say should, right? I don't want to be judgy here, but I'm saying that gives it life. So I could just hear it like, oh, I hear it. Or I can be excited about it. It's a different experience. That's point number 2. Again, let me recap. Point number 1, when we're excited, we're more likely to do it than if it's just like transactional. Number 2, when we're doing it, when we're excited, it's a different ball game. There's life. There's vitality. It's a vibrant experience. It's warm. It's rich. It's a rich experience. Point number 3. Without emotions, where's the relationship? Yeah, I did the mitzvah. Okay. I don't want to discount that. Okay. It's very important. I did the mitzvah. I did the thing. I fulfilled my obligation. But where's the relationship? I did the transaction, but where's the relationship? Right? You go to the ATM, you put in your card, you punch the numbers, you make a withdrawal, it spits out $20. Was that a relationship moment? Are you now in some sort of relationship with the ATM? If the answer is yes, we got to talk after class. It's a little bit creepy. The point is, it's a transaction, right? You put in the card, you typed in the PIN code, it spit out the money, and you walk away. And it's all good. right? You did this, it did that, we're done. It doesn't need to be more than that. But do we want our contact with God to be like that? That seems very dry. And one might say there's no relationship. There might be some actions being done for God or for what God wants us to do. Yeah, and that's, again, valuable, infinitely valuable in and of itself. But where's the relationship? So emotions are necessary because that's what a relationship is. It means that I feel something toward the other. So emotions are not a small thing. Loving God, being in awe of God, respecting God, these are very important things. Yeah, the most important thing is do the mitzvah. Why? Because you gotta get it done. You gotta, even if you don't feel, still you gotta stick to the commitment. Okay, fine. But if we look a little bit deeper, we need to have the emotions. Number one, it gets us there to the action. Number two, it makes the action alive. And number three, well, that's the relationship. If we don't love, then what are we doing? Then how are we connected? Because I did something for you. I don't have a relationship with the ATM machine. Yeah, for a moment, it gave me money, or it gave me whatever, it spit out the money. I don't have a relationship with the ATM machine. We want to have a relationship with God. God wants a relationship with us. It's important to develop emotions. In our chapter 41, we embark on point number 3. The other 2 points were discussed in earlier chapters in Tanya. The idea that emotion is what helps ensure that the action is done, and emotion makes the action vibrant and with a vitality. All of those themes were mentioned in previous chapters. Chapter 41, he says, forget all that other stuff. What's the relationship? How are we connected? You got to feel something. Feeling is what makes us alive. Feeling is what binds us together. Okay, I want to jump into the text. All of that was by way of preamble, by way of introduction. Let's jump right in. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and we'll do this together. Okay, tell me if you can see this. Chapter 41, Tanya, you guys see that? Yes? Yes? Okay. I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger. Let's do this. Beautiful. Okay. We started this chapter last week. We did it very, very basically. Sorry for going up and down. I'm just kind of getting calibrated here. Okay, this is a bit of an introduction to the chapter that the publishers did in this edition of Tanya that's online, Chabad.org. You can see the URL. The beginning of the chapter talks about. Here we go. I'm going to highlight some words. Can you see the highlight? Can you guys see the highlighted text? Yes? Okay. The beginning of divine service. In other words, what makes us connected? That relationship with the divine service where we become connected and bonded with God. And that is, as you know now, the emotional connection. And he says it has to start with respect. It has to start with awe or fear. It has to start, again, fear is a word that has an ugly connotation now, in today's day and age. And I would say that it's probably not the best English translation for the word yira, which I think is more like along the lines of awe or respect. What it means is to have that type of emotional respect for God. Not only love, but also the respect. And he says that we need to have this. Take a look. It should be manifest, these emotions, in his heart, right? In the heart, or at least in his mind. And as I said, this was the last thing I explained last week. The heart means that you actually feel the emotion. The mind is that intellectually you know that you should be feeling it, which is also a good step. So maybe you're not exactly feeling it yet, but you know that you need to be feeling it. You know that you should be feeling it. And on some level, you feel it in your brain. So your heart might not be pounding from love or trepidation, but your mind tells you the truth of the love or the awe. Okay, so he says, best case scenario, we feel the love and the awe for God in our heart, at the very least, in his mind. Okay, we're talking about fear. Again, I'm not crazy about the word fear, but it's in this translation. It really means the awe. Being like, wow, like blown away, like God, whoa, like mind blown. This is wild. I'm thinking of such a silly example. You ever watch a magic show? Yeah? And the magician does a trick that you just didn't see coming? And you're like, whoa, I can't believe it. That's not love. Okay, maybe you love watching it, but that moment, right, where the trick lands, that's not love. That's like you're blown away. That's like you're awed by something. There's kind of like, whoa, you take a step back, like, wow, what is that? What just happened? I can't even process it. That's an emotion. We should feel like that toward God. God's like amazing. So there should be love, but there should also be like this, whoa, like mind blown. How do we get there? Tonight, we're going to learn multiple meditations. General meditations, Jewish spiritual meditations. General meditations, and then specific meditations, and you'll see what I mean in a moment, about specific mitzvot. All due to the fact, as I mentioned before, that Kabbalah and Hasidic philosophy teaches that it's meditating in the head that leads to the emotions in the heart. Somebody might say, oh yeah, I would love to love God. I would love to be in awe and respect God, but I don't feel it. So the answer is, you got to start thinking different. Oh, I should mention, this course is called Think Different. Remember that, right? This course is called Think Different. Now you know why. The whole point is to think different because that changes the way you feel. If our friend, the driver, who was regurgitating, thinking about in the mind again and again and again, the not nice thing that the friend said 2 weeks ago, to the fact that he got very upset in the car when the guy's not even there, right? If he changed his mind, in other words, thought about something else, meditated on something else, he might be happy right now. If he was meditating on the blessings in his life while driving to work, maybe instead of clutching the steering wheel and being all like hot and bothered, maybe he would be smiling, or she would be smiling in the car driving to work, thinking about something positive. It all begins here. Change your mind. I don't mean like make a different decision. I mean change what you're thinking about, change what's going on up here, and change happens down here. So you want to love God, you want to fear God, you want to be in awe of God, you want to respect God. Great. Necessary. We gave 3 reasons, but here's how it happens. Contemplation, meditation. Let's start. This means, starting from right there, this means that in order to arouse within himself the latter category of fear, there's love and fear, he should at least contemplate in his mind the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof. The Ein Sof means the infinite one. So a human being, you and I, we should contemplate in our minds the greatness of the infinite God and his kingship. God is referred to here by the euphemism, Ein Sof. Ein Sof is a very popular Kabbalistic euphemism to refer to God. Ein Sof literally means without end, which connotes the notion of infinite, that which has no end. Now the truth is, God also has no beginning, because infinite means no beginning or end. But this is the way the Kabbalists describe God, as the Ein Sof. It's very relevant here to use that description of God in this context, because this whole meditation is a big meditation. This is meditating on the infinite nature, the infinite just grandeur, if you will, of God, the greatness of the blessed Ein Sof, and his kingship. Let's continue. We're skipping the small text because that's commentary, and we're doing our own. And this, God's Ein Sof and God's kingship, which extends to all worlds, both higher and lower. Listen to this. God is infinite, and yet God's infinite power, God's infinite reality touches all of existence, from the highest dimension to the lowest dimension. And let's continue. Let him further consider. He's walking us through a meditation. And let him further consider that he fills all worlds. Not only is God infinitely beyond everything, but God also has the ability to contract himself and even infuse our finite reality with life force and energy. Even a blade of grass has the power of growth. Even a tiny little ant, like the really small ones, right? The little guys, is moving. It has a soul that gives it life, that gives it animation, that gives it the ability to crawl around and to know what it needs to do. That's a divine life force. That's a soul from God. God not only transcends everything from top to bottom, but God also fills everything, inside and out, big and small. In Kabbalah, check this out. Let me actually continue. And let him further consider that he fills all worlds. Okay, that's what I just said. God fills even the blade of grass and encompasses all the worlds, which means he animates them with a life force that transcends the experience and comprehension of created beings. Okay, let me explain. There are two dimensions that the Kabbalists speak about, and I'm going to highlight the Hebrew. I hope you can see the Hebrew highlighted right there. If you're proficient with Hebrew reading, that says Memale Kol Almin. And then the next phrase is Memale Kol Almin means God fills all of the worlds, all of the planes of reality. Sovev Kol Almin means God encompasses everything. And God does both. God is both bigger than everything, but God also shrinks himself to also be present within every living creature, or at least his life force, his energy, his vitality, his soul, so to speak, should be present in every living creature. This is the incredible dichotomy, duality of God. God is both beyond and within. God is both transcendent and immanent. God is outside, God is inside. This is the duality of God. Yes, Steve is asking, Sovev, like dreidel? Yes. Right? Sivivon. Right? Dreidel means, right, Sovev, right? Sivivon means something that spins, which connotes the idea of a circle, which is like encompassing, transcendence, that which encircles, if you will, reality. Now, in other parts of Tanya and Kabbalah, it's clarified again and again and again that when we refer to God as, look at the English, encompassing all the worlds, it doesn't mean that God is literally surrounding from the outside. It means that God is right here. Even Sovev Kol Almin, even this level of divine energy called Sovev, is right here. Yet, even as it's here, it's not captured by here. It doesn't work in an internal way. It's kind of like from outside in. I want to give you an example of these two dimensions, Memale and Sovev. The difference, okay, you walk into a classroom. Picture in your mind a 5th grade classroom, elementary school, 5th grade. And it's mathematics class, math. You have a teacher and you have 20 students. And the teacher is in the process of teaching the students math. And the teacher is a good teacher, and the students are good students, and the students are learning. There are multiple realities that are happening in that room at the same time, And here we find a distinction between Sovev and Memale. Let's talk about wisdom and light. Wisdom, like the math instruction, and light, L-I-G-H-T, like the light in the classroom. Both are present. The classroom is filled with wisdom, and the classroom is illuminated by the overhead lights. Both are operating in that space at the same time. Not a contradiction, they're both operating. One provides light, and one provides the insight, the wisdom. But they operate in a very different way. How do I know this? Because if the students really learned, if they got the wisdom, when they walk out of the class, if the teacher would stop teaching, when the teacher stops teaching, the students still have it in their heads, hopefully. But turn off the light and the room goes dark. There was light and there was wisdom, but wisdom sticks around and the light disappears. Why? Because the wisdom went inside and the light never transformed the room into a light room. Even though there were lights shining in the classroom, the walls never became luminescent. The air hanging in the room never became transformed into a ball of light. The light always remained in the source. And even as it was shining in the room, it did so from the outside in, not from the inside out. Teaching is meant to operate from the inside out. A teacher is meant to get inside the kishkas of the student, to transmit wisdom that gets to the very essence of the student and transforms them from the inside out. That's what teaching is about. Imparting wisdom that affects change. Wisdom that doesn't end when the teacher stops teaching. Wisdom that lasts for a lifetime. Even in mathematics, I remember to this day, a squared when it comes to a triangle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's how you know I'm forgetting the term. The long side of the triangle, whatever that is, the diagonal, whatever that's called. Right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Guess what? Huh? Hypotenuse. Gesundheit. By the way, I took my kids to the zoo one time and we saw a hypotenuse. Anyway, I digress. Here's the point. I don't remember which teacher first taught that to me in whatever grade I was in school and growing up in Pittsburgh. I don't remember. But I do remember the teaching. But I'll tell you this, the light that was on in that classroom then, that ain't around anymore. In fact, when we all walked out of school, or that night, at 5 o'clock, whenever our school ended, we went late. Whenever the lights went out, that room was as dark as if there had never been a light fixture affixed to that room. It's as dark as it was had there never been light introduced. The light doesn't leave not one iota of residue. It didn't change a thing. It illuminated while it was there. Got to give that to the light bulbs. When they're on, they're on. But they don't change anything. I know you get your kid glow-in-the-dark stickers. Yeah, you hold it to the light bulb for 10 minutes and it lasts for 30 seconds. I don't know how that works. Whatever. But typically in normative circumstances, light operates completely from the outside in, not from the inside out. This is, as opposed to wisdom, which operates from the inside out. This is my basic analogy for understanding these two wavelengths or forces of divine energy. God operates within our world from the inside out. Memale kol almin. There's a divine energy that steps down into every living creature and gives it exactly what it needs to be alive. A planet gets a lot of energy. A blade of grass, a little little bit of energy. Your brain, a lot of energy. Your fingernail, a little bit of energy. There's an energy force of God that works with the other, like a teacher. If the teacher is a good teacher, the teacher's taking their own bigger wisdom and condensing it down to fit into the inside of the student. That's mamale. That's God's immanent. That's this. Mamale kolamin, filling the worlds from the inside out. God is also sovev kolamin. God also transcends everything. God operates from the outside in. Like a powerful light. The light doesn't care whether you're changed or transformed by the light. It's just shining. It's bright. It's doing its thing on its terms. These are two equally valid and important and necessary modalities of divine effluence, divine emanation. This is how it works. God is both inside and outside. What's the problem? You can have a room that's lit. Yeah, you can also walk down the street and chew gum at the same time. It's not a contradiction, right? It's not an impossibility. I want to check in with you. What I'm saying makes sense? This is a question for everybody. Yes? Nod if it makes sense. Yes? Okay, good. I'm getting a lot of nods. Okay. By the way, I want to make sure that we're all understand this, because this is part of our meditation. If we don't understand it here, then we're not going to feel it here. If we kind of have a basic idea of what the idea is and what the concepts are, it's not going to produce an emotion. Because when you're thinking about Yankel, who bugged you 2 weeks ago and you got really upset, when you're driving your car, you don't generally know what he did. You know exactly what he did. Ho, 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 do you know what he... That sounded like December. You definitely know what he did. You know so well. You know better than he did. He didn't even mean all that stuff that you're now attributing to his actions. Oh boy, do you know what he meant. So meditation, in order for it to produce emotion, you have to really understand it. That's why I want to go through this a little bit slowly, to make sure we understand it. So this is all the Alter Rebbe is saying here in Tanya. This is, if you want to feel something for God, try this on for size. Think about how infinitely vast God is. And yet, God has a relationship with our world in two different ways. God is inside and God is outside. Not actually outside. Well, maybe also outside. But God is inside, and inside, outside. Right? Like the light's inside the room, but it's still like outside. It's still operating from the outside in. That's Sovev. Memale, God is inside. God gives life to every individual creature, and God is also bigger than everything. Let's throw a verse at this. As it is written, back inside. God says rhetorically, do I not fill heaven and earth? Right? God is like mind-blowing. Uh-oh. Watch out. Watch out for this one. Yet, despite, yet is like, however, despite all of the incredible qualities that we've just attributed to God. God is big, God is small, God is here, God is not here. Well, is here in a way that's not here. Yet, he leaves aside the creatures of the higher worlds and the creatures of the lower worlds. God says, excuse me for a moment. I have a rendezvous. A rendezvous with who? With you and I. He uniquely bestows his kingship upon his people Israel in general. For God is known as the King of Israel. And that's in general, because we have Torah, mitzvot, etc., which can then in turn be led into the nations. And more specifically, and this is where it gets really interesting, and upon him, whoever the him is, that's whoever's doing the meditation. It could be him or her, obviously. Upon him in particular. So what is he saying? God says to the entire operation, to all of the infinite stuff that God is doing, God says, hold on, I want a relationship with you. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the greatest individual that you know? However you define that. The greatest power, the greatest fame, the greatest wisdom, whatever the greatest is to you. They would leave behind all their big stuff and say, hey, let's go for a walk. You would be so just out of your mind at that moment. You'd be like, what? Are you kidding me? What is this? I didn't even have to make a half-court shot. Like, what is this? How'd this happen? You would be in love. You would be overwhelmed. You would feel awe. You would feel love. You wouldn't even know what you felt, but you would feel. Your heart would be beating, pounding out of your chest. You would be nervous and excited and nervously excited all at the same time. For a man is obliged to say, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. Our sages tell us that you and I are supposed to say, every person is supposed to say, for my sake was the world created. What was that? The world was created for me. This is not a statement of arrogance. It's a statement of purpose. It's a statement of centrality. It's a statement of significance. It's a statement of meaning. The alternative is for a person to say, I don't matter. I am one tiny speck of DNA in a vast, endless, seemingly endless universe. What I do, say, think, am, that I am, does not mean anything. That's the alternative. To this, Judaism says, nope, we have a different meditation. The meditation is, for my sake was the world created. The world is resting on my shoulders. What I do makes a difference. I can change the world for the good. I can make a difference. I can inspire. I can build. I can create. That's empowering. And what does it mean? It means that God wants a relationship with me. And once you know that in your meditation, if you think of that, if you think of how big God is and how still God chooses you, right? You, not me, you. Also me. But that's what I say. You say you, I say me. They're both right. God's big enough, they're both right. Then at that point, the next thing you want to do is, you're all in. You're all in. It's like, yeah, that greatest person of all time that you know, or from history, that person that you would, person that you've ever heard about or know about, that you would want to meet the most. They say, you know what? I want to be there with you. I want to go for a walk. I want to, have coffee with you. You would be blown away. You're over the moon. And at that point, if you're given the choice, yes or no, you're like, yes. Yeah, there's not even a question. I'm opting in. Let's continue. And he, for his part, the person, accepts his kingship upon himself, that he be king over him to serve him and do his will in all kinds of servile work. Now here it's different than meeting your favorite celebrity, obviously. What we're talking about is God as the ultimate force of existence, the ultimate power. God says, I want you. And you say, yeah, sign me up. I'm all in. And what does it mean to be all in? It means whatever you need. But I'm totally in, not just robotically, I will do what you want. But it's you're passionate. You feel the awe, you feel the energy. You're blown away. You're like, whoa, of course I'm going to do this. And here we get to the next part of the meditation. And behold, he's quoting a few verses, which is why you have the quotation marks. V'hine havaya nitzav alav, u'melayich ala aretz kavayde, u'mabit alav v'vaychen klayes v'leiv, im oivdai kara'ui. And I'll translate, or you can read it right here. And behold, God himself stands over him. That means you. Emmy. But you. And the whole world is full only with his glory. And despite the fact that God is everywhere and everything and the soul of everything, still, God, he scrutinizes him in particular. God says, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? In New York, we would say, or in Jersey, we would say, what you doing? Where's Joel? Joel gives me a good what you doing. I don't know if Joel's
How you doing?
how you do. There you go. How you doing? Yeah. What you doing? God says. God scrutinizes him in particular. Take a look. It gets even deeper and searches his reins and heart, his innermost thoughts and emotions, to see if he is serving him as is fitting. God is looking. Are you committed? Are you in? Right? Are you feeling it? We're not an afterthought. We are the thought. And not we collective, you individual. Therefore, he must serve in his presence, because it's literally in his presence. Because God is nowhere else other than with you right now. Therefore, this is all part of your meditation, right? Therefore, he must serve in his presence with awe and fear, like one standing before the king. Imagine the king or this great person is in your room right now. Not in theory, but in practice. That is mind-blowing. That moves you. If you're meditating on this in a real way, in a genuine way, that will genuinely move you. Let's continue. Now having stated this meditation, the Alter Rebbe, our narrator, steps right back in. One must meditate profoundly and at length on this concept, according to the capacity of apprehension of his brain and thought, and the time available. So obviously everyone has different levels of understanding. Their mind works differently. And everyone has a different amount of time that they can allocate toward meditation. Not everyone has 3 hours to meditate. Maybe you have only 10 minutes to meditate. That's okay. That's okay. Whatever you have, bring whatever mind you have and whatever time you have. But do the meditation, he says. You must. If you want to feel, you got to do the meditation. And when do you do this? Before he engages in the study of Torah or in the performance of a mitzvah, a commandment. And he gives a few examples, such as before putting on a talit or tefillin. Now, these are specific mitzvot that are usually done in the context of the prayer service, right? And that's kind of why he lumps it together. So before, oh, look at that, I'm hovering over tefillin and getting a definition. Tefillin, the English word for tefillin is phylacteries. Have you ever heard of phylacteries? The English word phylacteries? Do you know where they're made? A phylactery factory. I'm just saying. You heard it here first. Okay, let's get back in, and then we're gonna get back in for a little bit, and then we're almost ready to close out tonight's session. What he's saying here is, when is a good time to meditate? Before you study Torah, or before you do a prayer related mitzvah like talit or tefillin. If you do your meditation then remember what the meditation is. Hopefully we didn't forget yet. We didn't forget so soon. The meditation is essentially twofold: how big God is, and yet how present God is with me in my life right now, right here, with me. So God is so big, and that makes God being here with me so awe-inspiring. So like, oh my God, God is with me. Do you say, oh my God, if God is with you? Because God's like, yes, you keep on saying. Anyway, so that's what evokes the awe, or fear as he calls it here, but the awe. Look in this little, this line, this meditation will enable him then to serve God with awe. There you go. Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, we're up to, I said we were going to do a few meditations tonight. Turns out we did one meditation, which is kind of like the big meditation. I want to chart out the course for, or map out what we're going to do next week. What we're going to do next week is we're going to add on several other meditations. You ready? We're going to do a Torah study meditation. This begins right here. This is our Torah study meditation. Then we have a tefillin meditation. Well, we have a general prayer meditation before that. We have a Torah meditation, a prayer meditation, a tefillin meditation, and a talit meditation. the tzitzit, right? The fringes on the talit. That's the next meditation. So we have 3 or 4 additional meditations coming up. The overarching point here is feeling something for God is not just good to get you to do what you need to do. It's not just good to ensure that what you're doing is vibrant and has vitality, but that's the bread and butter of a relationship. What is a relationship without feeling? So we got to feel. And if we don't feel, how do we get to feeling? Not to feeling. That's something else. How do we get to feeling? That is meditating. Putting the right thoughts in our mind and pondering them, contemplating them. When you do it, you'll feel it. And when you feel it, now you're connected. All right. This formally concludes tonight's session. I'm available for as long as we need to respond to questions. I see that some questions were asked in the chat. I'm going to get to those in a moment. But first, I want to mention a few quick announcements, just so that in case some of you have to jump off this class, that you'll at least hear these quick announcements. Number 1, as a reminder, every day at noon Eastern Standard Time, we are doing the daily Power Parsha. Join us for a daily dose of Torah inspiration following the daily study of the Torah portion. So every Torah portion is divided into 7 readings, 1 for each day. Monday through Friday, we do readings 2 through 6, essentially. Monday to Tuesday 3, etc. We go through all the days, and Monday through Friday, and we do it. So that is point number 1. Point number 2 is I'm coming up to very important announcements, including a brand new announcement that will blow your mind. Here we go. We're gonna lead up to it. This Sunday night. This is not gonna blow your mind yet, although it's very exciting. This Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the 2nd edition of our Jewish Fireside Chat. We have a series, Jewish Fireside Chat series, in which we have the opportunity to hear from leading Jewish scholars from around the world. And these are top scholars, top wise individuals who are sharing their wisdom with us here at Intown Jewish Academy in Atlanta, and of course on Zoom around the world as well. For more information and the link to get on to that session, to that chat, which is a very warm and intimate, but also just mind-blowing chat, that is available, that information. The link is available on our website, intownjewishacademy.org. That's it. Sorry. Sounded like I was going to go further than that. intownjewishacademy.org. Just look for the Jewish Fireside Chat series. Click on it, and it will have in the description on that page, it will have the link of how to get there. It's free. It's open to the community. For anyone who wants to help sponsor that series, please reach out to me. We're looking for sponsors. It's a very important series to keep people connected and inspired and uplifted with these big minds from around the world. But it's free and open to everybody. The next point I want to mention, and I should mention who is speaking this Sunday. Mrs. Shimona Tsukernik. She is a top scholar, an internationally renowned Kabbalistic scholar. She is the Kabbalah coach. She developed a Kabbalistic training method called The Method. She is incredible, and she's also somewhat related. My sister-in-law married her son. Okay, whatever. It's kind of quasi-mishpacha, but friendly. She came to Atlanta a few years ago to headline our annual Intown Jewish Academy dinner at Callenwald. She will blow you away. Come Sunday night, 7 p.m. on Zoom, and we're going to get that going. Next announcement. We have a brand new course starting this Tuesday night called Judaism at Home. When home is the only place that Judaism can thrive, this is the course that you need. 5 sessions about how to do Jewish at home and how to do it in a meaningful and inspiring way. You're going to love this course. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's insightful, it's practical, and we'll have more time together, another hour or so, Tuesday nights, 8 to 9 p.m. Again, this is available on our website. Look for the information. That does require registration, but please join us. You're going to love it. And finally, we're ready for the bomb. Breaking news. I don't know what the world will look like in 4 weeks. But what I do know is that in about 4 weeks, in exactly 4 weeks, hold on. Let me pull up a calendar for myself. Here's what I know. I know that in 1, 2, 3, in exactly 4 weeks from tonight is the holiday of Shavuot. And I know this. I know that if things are open or not open, I know many people, probably for the night that we traditionally stay up learning Torah, many people are going to opt to stay at home for various reasons. It's late, we're just getting up. I don't know where things are going to be. I have developed over the last several days, breaking news, a DIY Shavuot all-nighter kit. It's literally a box that has in it everything you need to do a Shavuot all-night study session. Yes, it has cheesecake in it. Yes. Yes. Let me tell you what it has in it. It has a guide to what's inside. It has like a letter, okay? Obviously, here's what you need to know. It has 2 study guides. You can study by yourself. If you have your family, you can study with your family. It's got study guides inside, ready to go. You can choose your topic. Once we get up on the website, hopefully tomorrow, you will choose your topic. You will choose your flavor of cheesecake. I have marble, prepackaged cheesecakes, marble, cappuccino, and maybe plain. I think plain probably. Three flavors to choose from. You will get, no one knows this. No one outside my family and one other person, my assistant, knows this. And the designer. I am creating as we speak. Well, the company is creating brand new branded Intown Jewish Academy mugs. You will get a gorgeous mug along with a packet of coffee to keep you up, along with some special surprises and treats. This will come in your DIY Shavuot all-nighter kit. What a bargain. $18 gets you the kit. You get the study guide, you get the cheesecake, you get the mug. That's hilarious. Steve is like, what, free for $1,800? No, I didn't say that. It's $18. It's barely covering the cost, if that. If we're looking for sponsors, actually, if anybody wants to help sponsor that project, again, let me know. But this is what's going on. It's not about the money. It's about offering people the resources to do it at home. Me and my family will be making the kits in masks and gloves in a sanitary fashion. We'll be putting everything together. Steve, you have a good idea about writing a Torah. We'll talk about that soon, perhaps. But you're getting ahead of yourself. DIY thing. Hold on. Don't. Let's finish this up before we get to the next idea. Basically, this is the idea. You have a kit that will walk you through the evening, and you'll have a meaningful Shavuot, a Tikkun Leil Shavuot, a night of Shavuot with study and cheesecake and coffee, and hopefully a smile on your face and Torah wisdom in your mind. That's it. So look for that information. We'll send out an email. If you don't get our emails, then just let me know. Send me a text. Send me an email. Let me know to get you on the email list. I'll have our secretary get you on the list, and look for it. Look for the email with information about how to order. You can specify your study topic. I don't think I mentioned this. You can choose maybe I did. You can choose your topic for the study. You can choose your topic for the cheesecake. And when I say topic, I mean flavor. And that's it. Oh, I'm going to make the kits. We'll make the kits, and then they'll be available for pickup. Or if you need delivery, we'll make it happen. That's it. The goal is no one is left behind. We're in this together. No one should not have a meaningful holiday. That's it. Committed to that. Good. It's going to be a long drive out to San Francisco, but we'll make it happen. Maybe we'll figure out other ways how to make it happen. Okay, same thing with Vegas. It's also far, and New York and Jersey. Okay, with that, I think I'm out of, not out, but question or to ask questions. Feel free to do so. Now is your time. Or we can just say hi. Saying hi is also good. Okay.
Hey.
Hey. Okay, good. If I don't